Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to each and every one of you. So, in this video, we are going to cover a new chapter in which we are going to refer to content number 10 in our course information. And this chapter is referring to chapter 12 in the textbook, which is on human resource management. So we have students who are undertaking the bachelor degree of human resource management in our class. So maybe this chapter could become like a foundation to develop a better understanding in order for you to become a better HR manager in the future, inshallah. But for the rest of the students, different programs, this topic is also kind of important to you so that you know what are the activities involved in the area of human resource management. So these are some of the learning objectives that we intend to accomplish by at the end of this chapter. And we have another 3 more learning objectives here. So let us begin. So human resource management are activities that managers engage in to attract and retain employees and to ensure that they perform at a high level and contribute to the accomplishment of organizational goals. In some organization, all HR managers are considered like a policeman, in which they are going to look at whether or not you can perform at your job or at the task that they have provided you with. And then there are several activities involved in the human resource management. We talk about recruitment and selection. We talk about training and development. We talk about human performance appraisal and feedback, and then pay and benefits, as well as labor relations. So those are the 5 main activities involved in the human resource management that we are going to explore in this particular chapter. And then another level of study in with regards to the human resource management. Now they talk about strategic human resource management. This is the process by which managers design the components of HRM system to be consistent with each other, with other elements of organizational architecture, and with the organization's strategy and goals. So meaning to say that if you plan to expand your organization, if you plan to go for a market development, to venture into a new market, so you are going to strategically identify in terms of the potential number of new employees that we need in order to support for that market development strategy. So that is the kind of elements that they are going to discuss when we talk about strategic human resource management. So here are the components of HRM system. Like I told you earlier on, we started off with the recruitment and selection, and then training and development after you are being recruited and selected for that particular post. And then once you are in the organization, you will be given the training, and then by at the end of the year, you will be appraised on your performance. And then we talk about pay and benefits, and then lastly is on the labor relations. For the HR students, you are going to explore each of these as a subject later on as you go along in your study. When we talk about the legal environment of HRM, so we talk about the Equal Employment Opportunity, EEO. This is the equal right of all citizens to the opportunity to obtain employment, regardless of their gender, age, race, country of origin, religion, or disabilities. So meaning to say that as an organization, we need to provide an equal employment opportunity to all. We cannot make decision based on the gender, age, race, country of origin, religion, or disabilities, unless if that particular position requires a specific category of employee who can perform the job effectively and efficiently. So these are some of the equal employment opportunity laws affecting HRM, but we are not going to go into each of these detail because I believe that for the HR students later on, they are going to explore about each of these laws in advance lah, in greater details. So what are the contemporary challenges for managers nowadays? Number one is to eliminate sexual harassment, and then making accommodations for employees with disabilities. I can see that in Malaysia currently, many organizations are now giving some consideration to accommodate for employees with disabilities, and then dealing with employees who have substance abuse problems. Nowadays, they have lots of substances, different level kind of drugs. So that is also another challenge for the managers. And then managing HIV positive employees and then employees with AIDS. So let us begin with the first function or role in the HRM. So we talk about recruitment and selection. So recruitment is the activities that managers engage in to develop a pool of candidates for open position. So meaning that this is the process of attracting as many potential candidates to apply for that particular position. That is recruitment. We do advertisement, kita publish, kita go search and everything, headhunting, and so all of those are part of recruitment. And then selection is the process that managers uses to determine the relative qualifications of job applicants and their potential for performing well in a particular job. So the selection is the process of looking into the CVs, and then we call them for the interview. We do the test, personal test, aptitude test, and everything. That is part of the selection process. So the difference between recruitment and selection is that recruitment is the process of attracting as many potential candidates as possible, and selection is the process of selecting the individuals based on their qualifications and job applications. So before actually recruiting and selecting employees, managers need to engage in two important activities: human resource planning and job analysis. We need to determine in terms of the demand and supply, how many new candidates that we need in order to fill up this particular position, and then from which sources do we want to go in at the university level. Do you want to grab or offer this particular position at fresh graduates, or do we want to advertise at a different at the competitors company? Do we want to fishing potential candidate from the competitors? So that is part of the human resource planning. You need to know in terms of the demand and supply of these potential employees. We need to know the exact number of potential applicants that we need, and then we also need to identify where are we going to search for these potential applicants. So basically, human resource planning involve activities engaged in to forecast their current and future needs for human resources, like I said to you earlier on. So demand forecast estimate the qualification and numbers of employees the firm will need given its goals and strategies, and then estimates the availability and qualifications of current employees now and in the future, as well as the supply of qualified workers in the external labor market, whether at the university or at the competitors or at the agencies. So these are some of the supply sources that you can look at. And then sometimes nowadays many organizations, they start to shift towards outsourcing this human resource planning function. So you use outside suppliers and manufacturers to produce goods and services, or you can use contract workers rather than hiring, and then more flexible for the firm, and then provide human capital at a lower cost. how can the outsourcing reduce the cost of human resource planning. So when the work is outsourced, when the whole work is being outsourced to a different agency, and so the cost can be lowered for several reasons. So number one, the organization does not have to provide benefits to the workers, and then the managers can contract for work only when the work is needed, and then the managers do not have to invest in training. So that's how you can minimize the cost through outsourcing. So the second part, just now we look at the human resource planning. The next one is job analysis. Job analysis is also being done before the recruitment and selection. So what is job analysis? Job analysis consists of job description and job specification. Job description identifying the tasks, duties, and responsibilities that make up a job. And then job specification include knowledge, skills, and abilities needed to perform the job. So job analysis basically is the description that we use in order to advertise that particular job in the newspaper, at the search engine, for example. That is part of the job analysis. We need to know what does the job requires this potential applicant to do, and then at the same time we also need to identify what specific knowledge, skills, and abilities that they need in order to perform that particular job. For example, minimum requirement is a degree. Minimum requirement is a certain height. For example, kalau if that job requires heavy lifting and so on, and then willingness to travel, possess your own car, possess a driving license, for example, and so that is relating to the job specification. So there are several ways on how you can do this job analysis. Number one, you can observe what current workers do. And through our observation, we can identify, oh, these are the things that this particular job requires a potential candidate to perform. For example, filing, typing, printing, or the clerical staff, for example. And then sometimes we can also ask our existing employees to fill out the questionnaire. So now let us discuss on the first functions of HRM. We talk about recruitment and selection. Hopefully we can finish off the next 5 slides. So the first one, when we talk about recruitment, we can do external recruiting. External recruiting, looking outside the organization for people who have not worked at the firm previously. Job posting on career websites, job fair, recruitment meetings with groups in the local community, career fairs at colleges, open houses, advertising in local newspaper. So these are some of the avenues in order for us to pursue for an external recruiting. Advantages, you can have access to potentially large applicant pool, being able to attract people who have the skills, knowledge, and abilities and organization needs, and then sometimes bringing in newcomers who may have a fresh approach to problems and be up to date on the latest technology. So these are some of the advantages if we pursue an external recruiting. We have a potentially large pool of applicant. If we do this by going through internal recruiting, kita punya potential applicant is only based on our existing employees. But now if we are looking for a higher or managerial position, so organizations sometimes they go for an external recruiting so they can have a bigger option, a bigger pool of applicant. However, disadvantages of external recruiting, it involves high costs, and then sometimes additional training, and then another one is that there is always a question whether they can become a good performers, because sometimes during the interview everything looks good, but when they actually perform the job, they are unable to deliver what is expected. So these are some of the disadvantages of external recruiting. So we are going to continue this with the internal recruiting in the next video, inshallah. Alright, Assalamualaikum.